I'm now going to try to prove to you in under 20 minutes how the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix of 2021 was fixed. I cannot show you the footage that we all were played on the day because it will get blocked on copyright, so I have to use tracker view. This is the authentic video created by F1 TV showing you the location of the cars on the track at that time. I'm going to go through that, and overlaid with that is the commentary of the day. You can get this footage yourself from F1 TV. You have to subscribe to them, but just Google F1 TV. It will show you what you need to do. This is their footage that I'm going to go through now and evidence the fixing of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix 2021. There are in excess of 60 things that are clearly wrong with what you have been presented with about Abu Dhabi 2021. And in any authentic event, you cannot identify that many things that are just clearly wrong. Hence, it is clearly a contrivance. Obviously, in just 20 minutes, I cannot go through all of them, but this should give you enough information to convince you that this was a fraud. Before I play you the footage, you need to understand one thing, and that is the safety car. In Formula One, when there is an accident, you have to stop racing. You cannot carry on racing if there is a car that has had an accident on track and is in the way. You have to stop racing. The way that this sport deals with such a safety incident is through the utilisation of the safety car. Sometimes they will red flag it if the track is blocked, or if the barriers need repairing, or if the driver needs medical attention. But where the incident can be cleared up through using the safety car, that is what they will choose to use. Now, what happens in a safety car situation is the safety car is deployed and all of the cars end up bunching behind it. If at that stage of the race no cars have been lapped, what you get is a situation where all of the cars are bunched up in the correct race order, first down to the last remaining running competitor. That's great. As soon as the leader has started lapping cars, you end up with a situation where you've got lapped cars in that running order and you've not got the correct race order. You are told the purpose of releasing those lapped cars is to get them out of the way between the race between the leaders. That is a complete lie. A complete lie. This is a sport. When a safety incident interferes with that sport, then racing is neutralised for everybody. That includes the cars that have been lapped. You cannot allow them to then be disadvantaged due to that. I'm going to show you that Lando Norris at this point in time was in 8th position, and the car in 7th disappears off and gains a lap on him. Lando Norris in 8th will have to be released and will have to be afforded the time to catch the back of the pack in order to restore sporting fairness to all competitors. That is the purpose of the safety car regulation. The sport doesn't explain that to you. What it does, it just lies. It lies about the rules of the sport, and the reason it does that is it wants to hype you up. It wants to sell crack to the kids. It wants to keep the children aroused. That's what this show does. Anyway, they are the regulations. They are the purpose of the regulations. Nicholas Latifi, blue dot, turn 14, is just about to become stationary, indicating he has crashed. Listen to Brundle, listen to Crofty, look at the locations of the dots on track. Leader, Lewis Hamilton, is between turn 8 and turn 9. The car behind him is an orange dot of Lando Norris. Lando Norris over on the right hand side of the screen is running in 8th position. The leader, Hamilton, has lapped 8th position, meaning position 8 and downwards is all lapped. That's the way it worked. Okay, here we go. Let's you'll see the blue stationary dot, and let's play it on.
Slight regulation changes.
Well, that feels like a long time ago, doesn't it? But yes, Mercedes had an awful pre-season test, didn't they? We thought they would be in terrible trouble come the first race.
Oh no, Nicholas!
So you can see the time delay in him crashing, and then the commentators reacting to that. At that point in time, Max Verstappen is the darker blue dot here, just past turn 8. He is 12 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton. Lando Norris's orange dot in 8th is less than 12 seconds behind Pierre Gasly, the grey dot, that's 11th. So Norris in 8th is trying to catch Gasly in 7th. Norris can potentially get 5th place in the Drivers' Championship. He needs to finish 5th. Had he have actually finished 5th, which he was on course to do prior to getting that late puncture, he would have finished 5th in that year's Drivers' Championship. He's still trying to do that. He's trying to chase down Gasly, Tsunoda, and then it will be Bottas in front of that. Should he do so, Lando Norris finishes 5th. He matters. Let's play it on.
Latifi has crashed, and I think that is at turn 14, where we saw Kimi Raikkonen crash in practice. It is at turn 14, and yes, that will be a safety car, because marshals are going to need to recover that Williams and to work on it. And this now completely changes the context of this race if they can clear the Williams in time, and we can have a couple of laps racing to the checkered flag.
Completely changes it, because Hamilton had been 12 seconds in the lead, and the cars will now bunch up. Those lapped cars will be released, and then the race will resume with those cars in the correct race order, nose to tail. That's how racing has to be resumed.
There's bound to be a couple, and of course that's where Max Verstappen's much...
There's not bound to be a couple. On average, this type of incident takes 5.5 laps before racing can resume. There were only 5.4 laps in this race remaining. It is highly unlikely that this race will remain. Those are the statistics. I've proved it in other videos on my channel.
Fresher tyres will fire up and give...
Max is also on hard compound tyres at this stage. This is narrative from Brundle, conditioning everybody to think about tyres. What you are actually shown by F1 TV, the creators of the footage, is a lot of pit action relating to tyres.
Give him the confidence on any kind of restart. It depends how... there will be, I'm pretty sure, on lap 52, obviously because of the slow pace with 5 to go.
Hamilton is now on lap 54. And like I say, it's highly unlikely that there'll be any racing. It's highly likely that there will be a safety car finish. Therefore, Lewis Hamilton, providing he stays on the road, providing he doesn't get a puncture, providing he doesn't have mechanical failure, will become a record-breaking 8-time world champion, breaking Michael Schumacher's record. Listen out for that being said by Brundle and Crofty in what you're about to hear.
They'll probably have a lap or two, as long as they get it, if they get a vehicle on there and get that out of the way.
And coming into the pits, Max Verstappen. Hamilton stays out. Verstappen coming into the pits.
Hamilton could not have pitted and got back out on track in the lead. Would Verstappen have pitted as well? And in a situation where you look at the data and you determine what the likelihood of a safety car finish is, track position is important. You do not concede track position if the race is unlikely to restart. Therefore, it would have been foolish for Hamilton to pit.
And I would imagine there's a set of soft tyres waiting for him to go onto that Red Bull car. Yes, it is.
Tyre narrative.
Box.
Every one of these messages that you hear is chosen by F1 TV. It's already been happened, and they decide that they want to play it to the world, creating tyre narrative.
Negative.
Right, so if there is a restart, Verstappen now has fresh soft tyres. Lewis has heavily used hard compound tyres. They will let any lap runners...
Brundle uses the term any. They will let any lap runners through. Not all though, Martin. That was the thing that Red Bull in that corrupt appeal argued about. Strange that you use that term, Brundle. Narrating the fix already.
Through on the safety car restart, and he will presume...
On the safety car restart, they keep affirming that.
Presumably end up, well, they had nothing to lose. Once again, Red Bull had nothing.
Red Bull had nothing to lose. You'll hear that repeated.
To lose here.
They have nothing to lose. Hamilton is a long way clear as Perez also pits, as we can see, and there's quite a few coming into the pits. Hamilton's a long way clear on the track, but I rather get the feeling by the time he comes around to the main straight, he's not going to be able to pit and stay ahead of Max Verstappen. That chance wasn't there, or as...
I will say this, and I forgot this to include this prior to beginning this footage. On that lap that Latifi crashed, his race engineer at the beginning of that lap said to Nicholas Latifi, "It has to be this lap, mate."
Gone by for Mercedes.
Verstappen tucked up behind Sebastian Vettel in the Aston Martin there.
But he won't be on the restart.
Affirms a restart.
That's unbelievable.
Wow.
Chosen message.
So look, we're on lap 54 of 58 here. They've got to clear that debris away, and the fire extinguishers have obviously gone off because the brakes, I'm sure, were getting very, very hot. But they've also got to let the lapped cars unlap themselves.
Absolutely right, Crofty.
Just at the back of my mind, I wonder if we're going to get any racing laps in this.
Highly unlikely. What needs to happen is that this incident needs to be cleared up in time, firstly, so that the clerk of the course can declare that track safe. It needs to make sure the track is clear. It needs to make sure that the barriers are okay and that the marshals are clear of the track. Then he can inform the race director that we're good to go racing again. Then the race director has to perform the mandatory procedure, that being to release those lapped cars that are eligible to be released. They have to be released by the latest the end of lap 56, so that lap 57 can be given that mandatory lap given to those released cars to afford them the opportunity of catching the back of the pack. That is the only way that we will see a racing resumption, because lap 57 will be that mandatory safety car lap, and that's the only way that lap 58 can be a racing lap. So the end of lap 56 is key. If those lapped cars are not released by then, this is a safety car finish. No alternatives.
This race, wait and see. This is what happened to Nicholas Latifi. He was scrapping away with Mick Schumacher.
That's not the corner he crashed on, is it?
That was earlier on, I think, in the skirmish with Schumacher. They barged wheels, went off the track, would have picked up.
At this moment in time, this safety car snake is passing the incident. At this moment in time, Nicholas Latifi's car has had the fire extinguisher go off on it, and there is a lot of smoke and powder, so fire extinguisher powder, in the air. Alonso passes the incident. Alonso is the lapped car, third car back after Hamilton. He says on his radio, we need to get an unlap now. We need to do this unlapping to get this job done. Otherwise, it will be too late. Alonso has just passed a car that is smashed up on the track. He can see all the debris on the track. He can see the smoke. And he's saying we need to unlap now. Alonso is the most experienced driver in Formula One, second to Kimi Raikkonen, who retired this race. You know how this works, Alonso. That's not how it works. Why are you saying that, Alonso? Proven in other videos.
A bit of dust and debris on his tyres, and then the rear just lets go.
Probably dirty tyres from being offline there. Will the...
Nicholas Latifi makes no effort to move that car. He puts it into the wall, switches the engine off. You see a car crash, you usually get the race engineer seeing if that car can be recovered to the pits, especially when it's so close. No attempt made.
Will we get any more racing laps or not? What jeopardy at the end of this Grand Prix, the end of
We're now on lap 55.
this World Championship. Will there be any more racing laps? If there are, then Verstappen has got the tyres to really do something with them. Will they let the lap runners through?
Well, they always do let the lap runners through.
Because it's a mandatory regulation. The reason it's a mandatory regulation is Lando Norris was less than 12 seconds behind the car in front of him, which was Pierre Gasly, at the point in time Latifi crashed. Look at Pierre Gasly now. Lando Norris is tucked up behind Hamilton. Pierre Gasly is now all the way over here, approaching turn 8. You can't allow Lando Norris to lose all that ground just because Latifi's crashed. Max Verstappen, he will have caught up. You can't have skewed outcomes. Hence we have regulations grounded in the context of a sport, a sporting event.
Through and in between Hamilton and Verstappen, Norris, Alonso, Ocon, Leclerc and Vettel.
8 lapped cars. They list 5. This won't be the first time you hear just 5.
Yes, but if they do that, it extends the safety car period.
No, it doesn't. The safety car period is what it is. It's as long as it takes to clear that incident up, as long as it takes to carry out those regulations, and then, and only then, do we go racing again.
But that's what they always do, take the lap runners out of the way so they're not interfering in play.
Hear that narrative? It's nothing to do with interference in play.
The situation behind me.
There were 3 cars that Max Verstappen hadn't lapped that Lewis did. When Verstappen pitted, 2 of the cars that Verstappen had lapped unlapped themselves from Verstappen, meaning there are now 5 cars in between Hamilton and Verstappen that Verstappen still had to get through. You can't just clear them out of his way and give him a free go and just neglect those 5 cars. Oh, it doesn't matter about you.
So, situation is, Verstappen has pitted, he had a free pit stop.
Chosen message by F1 TV to convince the global watching audience of the narrative we're now going to see.
We would have lost track position to him. 4 laps remaining when you cross the line.
So there's not 4 laps remaining, is there? This is lap 55. So when he crosses the line, he's already crossed the line and they're playing it over at turn 5 now.
So this field has to bunch and then they have to send lap cars through. So
absolutely right.
It may not restart.
Is he right behind me?
He will be once they've sorted out all the order. This is going to take a while to sort out.
It might be one.
With new tyres.
Copy, Lewis. We would have lost track position if we had pitted.
And that was the big key here.
Tyre narrative.
Mercedes, for the second time, keeping Lewis Hamilton out, whilst Max Verstappen pitted. Red Bull had nothing to lose.
Red Bull had nothing to lose. Narrative.
Hamilton potentially losing track position, and in this case, if we don't go racing again because you can't overtake under the safety car, he would have lost the World Championship.
But he didn't do that, so why are you saying that Hamilton would have lost the World Championship? At this moment in time, Hamilton is on course to be a record-breaking 8-time world champion. He's in the lead of this race. This race may not restart. We are in the process of witnessing history if this race doesn't restart.
Is there a vehicle pulling the Williams out of the way or not yet?
Can't see it at the moment.
You can't see, but there's 3 cameras there, and F1 TV don't show the world.
Ted, down to you.
Yeah, have a load of other people pitting. Yuki Tsunoda, Pierre Gasly, Daniel Ricciardo. We've had Lance Stroll as well into the pits. I'll give you those orders as they shake out. But yeah, it was just bad luck. I mean, you saw the Mercedes mechanics just hanging around outside the pits looking at whether they had the order to come in. But Hamilton was so close to the pit entrance that it does seem that the engineer's right there. Whatever they would have done, they would have lost track position.
Tyre narrative.
The safety car's not going full gas down the straight.
Copy, Lewis, understood.
His tyres are cooling. He needs more pace, more heat.
Tyre narrative. There's nothing about tyres cooling because at the point in time where the lapped cars are released, Lewis knows that there's going to be at least a further lap. In that time, he could be warming his tyres to get them up to temperature. They are presenting the tyre narrative. What Lewis is actually saying is, this safety car is purposely dragging its heels to try to ensure that we get a racing lap. This isn't authentic. This isn't what normally happens.
Heat into those tyres.
This is awful for Lewis then with those hard compound, heavily used tyres. So there's the shunt then that caused the safety. There has to be a safety car there.
Replay after replay rather than showing us these cars now passing that incident to give people, the global watching audience, true perspective. That's hidden from us all.
And but will they let the lap runners through?
Brundle, the sports expert, asking the global population, what will they do? This is a mandatory regulation that has to be carried out. Lando Norris, in 8th position, has lost all this time to Pierre Gasly. Pierre Gasly's at turn 7 now. Pierre Gasly's been and pitted for fresh soft compound tyres too. You can't afford to let all these drivers lose this amount of time in an event to the people that they are competing against just due to a safety car situation. Hence, we have these mandatory regulations. The expert of the sport, Martin Brundle, has got amnesia. He's forgotten. He doesn't know what they are. Strange that.
I don't think it's absolutely mandatory, but that's normally on a wet.
They're absolutely mandatory, and the weather conditions, there's no wet weather regulations in the sporting regulations of Formula 1.
Day that they don't. And if so, how will they let the lap runners through? I don't think it's absolutely mandatory, but that's normally on a wet day that they don't. And if so,
lies.
So how long will they wait?
The safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap. which is the lap after those cars have been released on.
For those lap cars to get out of the way, if they wait for them to catch the pack up.
Okay, we're now starting lap 56. This is the crucial lap. Those lapped cars need to be released this lap, otherwise it will be guaranteed to be a safety car finish. Can this incident be cleared in time so that those 8 lapped cars can be released this lap?
Which they don't have to do. No. Then I don't think we'll get a racing lap.
You cannot resume racing with lapped cars in situ. It's not in the regulations. The regulations reverted to this in 2012. This is the 10th full season. The end of the 10th full season where these regulations have been in operation.
They let them through, we could get 1 racing lap.
Narrative.
3 laps to go. Nicholas Latifi is seemingly okay.
3 laps to go, so they need to be released on this one. The next one needs to be that lap afforded to those released cars, and that's the only way that we'll get a racing final lap.
After that contact with the barriers, around about 90 miles an hour. But he would have taken a whack, and it's good to see that he's okay. Sergio Perez coming into the pits again.
So Max,
I think they're retiring the car here. Perez in.
By Perez retiring, that hands the Constructors' title to Mercedes. Going into that race, Red Bull were 28 points behind in the Constructors' Championship. With only 1 running car, the maximum that car will achieve is 26 points, a win and fastest lap. Meaning that even if Hamilton and Bottas crash out, Red Bull will still finish 2 points behind in that championship. That handed the Constructors' prize of $177 million to Mercedes by Perez retiring. Nothing was wrong with Perez's car. Perez was surprised at the retirement.
To the pits for the 4th time. I didn't understand why, but I think they are retiring the car, and yes, they're not going to be working on it, and that is the end of Sergio Perez's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Checo, we need to retire the car. We need to retire the car. Box.
And for the
really? Yeah.
Really?
Box.
And lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake.
There's a reason, and that is because there are marshals still on the track sweeping. Proven in other videos, I can show you using Nicholas Latifi's car camera, which pans around and shows you marshals still sweeping the track right now. That is why the track is not safe to now begin the unlapping procedure. The clerk of the course cannot declare that track safe yet because it isn't.
It's not mandatory in the
It absolutely is.
regulations, which leaves Verstappen with a lot of work to do then.
Narrative. You cannot resume racing with lapped cars in situ, so there is not even the possibility of resuming racing with Verstappen then having to fight his way through these 5 lapped cars first. He'll all get blue flags. That's a false situation presented with narrative.
So Mercedes will be Constructors' champions at the end of this race, as it stands at the moment, assuming that Hamilton and Bottas finish this.
I've already told you, they already are.
Race. The Drivers' Championship, though, is very much up for.
Why are you saying that? Those lapped cars have to be released this lap. The track has to be declared safe this lap. Before they cross the start-finish line, that's that checkered flag on this map here, before they cross there, those lapped cars will have to be released. If not, it's a safety car finish.
Grabs. The lapped cars won't be allowed to overtake, which means that there are plenty of cars in between Hamilton and Verstappen for Verstappen to fight his way through.
That's a lie. You can't resume racing like that. This is the sports expert broadcaster lying to the global watching audience about what you're about to see, which is not allowed. Understand that.
Norris, Alonso, and also Ocon and Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel.
So he lists 5 of 8 again.
None of which are for position, of course.
No.
None of them cars are for position. No, Lando Norris is fighting for 5th position in the Drivers' Championship. He is now in 7th position now that Perez has retired. Gasly's in 6th position, but look at where Gasly is. Gasly's now at the back of the snake. Norris, having been less than 12 seconds behind Gasly, is now a lap behind Gasly. You can't allow a safety situation to cause that skew of outcomes to the different competitors. They all get to bunch up with the car that they're racing. Not just Max Verstappen.
They're obliged to get out of the way, but Lewis will be long down the road.
That I suppose is the compromise that race control have made here.
Oh, it's the compromise that the referee is making. You can't do that. The rules are to be applied by the race director, the referee of the sport. You apply the rules. You don't skew the rules.
By giving the best...
And he hasn't broken the rules yet, has he? He hasn't broken the rules yet, so why are the commentators predicting that he's going to break the rules? All he's doing is not releasing the lapped cars, and the reason he's not releasing the lapped cars is because it's not safe to release the lapped cars. So why are the sports commentators predicting that he's going to break the rules?
Possible chance for racing to the finish rather than finishing behind the safety car. They've decided the lap cars will stay where they are.
Why are you predicting that the race director is going to break the rules? He hasn't done so.
Cancel that. Lap cars will not be allowed to overtake.
Yeah, of course.
F1 TV choose the message. This radio conversation took place between turn 5 and turn 6. This back straight along the top of the screen. F1 TV choose that message to play to the world for the narrative. They edit out all the gaps.
Typical decision.
It's classic.
I'm not surprised.
Well, I'll try and look at this objectively.
You'll try to look at this objectively. The reason why the lapped cars are not going to be released is because of this.
The lap cars to overtake.
Oh, we're panning round to the... You're not showing us the track, are you, at the moment, F1 TV? No, you don't want to do that, do you? I'll pan forward a little bit.
We'd have no laps of...
Oh, the drama. Max's girlfriend. Oh, biting her fingernails. The
racing
drama.
to the checkered flag. So what a...
She's praying, maybe to the racing gods.
Red Bull won.
What do Red Bull want? Well, there's Marshall still on the track. It's irrelevant what Red Bull want. That's the reason why lapped cars will not be allowed to pass the safety car yet. Why? Because the incident isn't safe yet. You can't carry out the unlapping procedure until the track is safe. Simple. This is lap 56. This is turn 14. Typical decision. I'm not surprised. Narrative. What do Red Bull want, says Crofty?
No laps of racing to the checkered flag. So what do Red Bull want? And Max Verstappen and Giampiero Lambiase as race engineer, do they want the chance or do they want to finish behind the safety car with no overtaking? Because I think that is the decision that has come from race control.
You're predicting there's going to be a racing lap still. We have now reached the end of lap 56. Those lapped cars have not been released. This means it's a safety car finish because even if they are released this lap, lap 58 has to be that lap afforded to those released cars to try to catch the back of the pack before racing can be resumed. This is a safety car finish. They're predicting that we're going to go racing like this. The safety car's still on track now. They're predicting right now that we're still going to see a racing lap. Right now, the regulations dictate that this is going to be a safety car finish. And yet, Martin Brundle and David Croft of Sky Sports are lying to you, telling you you're going to see a racing finish. This is how contrived this is.
And personally, this is the decision that gives them the best chance if they want it.
Yeah.
Personally, this is the decision that gives Red Bull the best chance. What? Oh, by awarding this team a penalty, personally, this is the best chance for them. Who would say that in authentic sport?
I mean, the regulation, as I said, they may
You're stumbling over your words there, Martin. You're lying, aren't you?
allow the lap cars through. It's not mandatory.
It absolutely is.
To point it out, but as you point out, Crofty, there'd be no racing laps if they let the lap cars through, because I think the safety car will come in at the end of this lap, and there will be one racing lap.
Why, we're on lap 57, Martin. The lapped cars haven't been released, which even if they are on this lap, then the safety car returns to the pits at the end of the following lap, meaning that they can't resume racing until they cross the start-finish line on that lap. Oh, that's the end of the race, isn't it? That's the end of lap 58. Safety car finish, providing Lewis Hamilton stays on track. He is the 8-time world champion. You are conditioning the global watching world to believe that we're still going to see one racing lap. Why?
They'll all get blue flags, I would imagine.
Narrative. Do-do-do. Interjected message chosen by F1 TV to condition the global watching audience of the narrative.
Christian and Michael.
Yes, go ahead, Christian.
Yeah, why aren't we getting these lap cars out of the way?
Don't fumble your words there, Christian.
Just give me, because Christian, just give me a second. Okay, my big one is to get this incident clear.
You only need one racing lap.
I wonder why they chose that message to play to the world.
Well, I assume Christian's talking about then, you know, getting the lap cars out of the way, not clearing the incidents away.
Yeah, I mean, all of the cars in front of Max will get blue flags and are duty
Narrative. Completely false situation.
bound to get out of the way, but they're all in a reasonable fight themselves, aren't they?
I thought you said the previous lap, none of them are for position. They're all in a reasonable fight. Well, where's Lando Norris now in 7th? And where's 6th position? Oh, he's right around here. Is that a reasonable fight, Martin?
Well, so here we go.
So here we go. Where are we going? Sweet child of mine. Where are we going, Crofty? Where are we going?
Normally, you know, you'd see the race leader backing up the pack a little bit when the safety car goes. I would imagine on this occasion, if we do get a lap, Martin, Hamilton will want to be disappointed.
I would imagine if we do get a lap, keep the audience guessing. Keep everybody disorientated. Stay on the edge of your seats. I think we may do. I think the safety car will come in at the end of this lap, and we will get one racing lap. If we do get a racing lap,
Disappearing off into the distance as fast as he can.
Yeah, I don't see any way Verstappen can do anything with that. But indeed, is the safety car coming in this lap? We think it should do, could do.
Why do you think it should do? That's not what the rules and regulations state. That's not the purpose.
Is there any more debris to clear?
Is there any more debris to clear up? Well, we just saw the marshals jumping over the barriers, leaving the track. Is there any? You said at the start of this lap that you think the safety car will come in at the end of this lap. Now you're asking the global watching audience who can't see if there's any more debris on the track that needs to be cleared up. Keep them all guessing. Keep everybody disorientated. What's going to happen, everybody? Oh, what's going to happen? Nobody knows. Although you've been conditioning everybody to expect that we're going to see one racing lap, haven't you, lads?
Up, but we're halfway round already.
Race control are now saying lapped cars to overtake the
How many does he list? All 8? Or just the 5 that he's listed several times before?
safety car. So Norris and Alonso and Ocon and Leclerc and Vettel to
And it's
overtake
ending.
it.
And it's ending. Wow.
Mike.
And it's ending. And it's ending. Wow. And who is queued up by F1 TV? Oh, that would be Toto Wolff going, Michael. Incredible editing there, isn't it? Incredible editing. Who is in the F1 TV studio picking and choosing what's being played to the global watching world?
So there's confusion, but the same.
Why is there confusion? Oh, nobody knows. Keep everybody disorientated. Confusion. Oh, there's 10 people in race control, by the way. It's not just one guy under pressure from everybody. There's 10 FIA personnel who know the rules and regulations of the sport, and they know the purpose.
Safety car is coming in at the end of this lap. So those back markers allowed to overtake the safety car, and that has now left Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen.
Where's third place? Oh, there's 2 cars in third place's way, blocking him off. So you've just created a 2-car race-off in a multi-competitor event. That's illegal.
Mike, this isn't right.
Oh, we have to throw the audience a bone there, though, don't we? The audience know it's not right, those that actually know the sport, so we have to acknowledge that. But we're still going to shit on you.
It has left Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen side by side. Hamilton.
Well, we saw Max Verstappen go ahead, but that doesn't get punished either. that'll do on this one. Please like and subscribe. Share this. Every fan of the sport needs to see this. They need to see how contrived the sport of Formula One is. 2021 Abu Dhabi was a fraud, and the perpetrators need to go down. They need to be imprisoned, and I'm going to do everything within my power to ensure that they are. Corruption, and it needs to be stamped out. Thank you for your time.